Thanks, Sergeant Major. We owe you one. Didn't think we'd ever see any of our own again. I'm Lieutenant Williams, Tiger Company.
From the 92nd Shock Troops Battalion.
One and the same. Honored you've heard of us, Sergeant Major. We certainly know who you are.
The honor's mine, LT. Glad we could help.
Robbins! Take the team and give me a perimeter check.
You don't seem as impressed as the rest of your crew.
No, Sergeant Major, I'm not. Takes more than fancy armor and a good PR campaign to impress me.
Die!
It's like hitting, dude, it's like hitting a wall.
You whore! I hate these people so much. You can kill Sergeant Johnson, but you can't kill this bitch. You gotta be fucking kidding. Yes!
Oh!
Let's go! Aww. Now, I'll be completely honest, I am not and have never been a Halo super fan. I was a PlayStation kid growing up, so I didn't play the original Halo games until I was a teenager, and while I did enjoy them, as a wise man once said,
Halo. Man, they best rename that shit to Galo.
And I feel that quote has aged like fine wine seeing the state of the franchise these days. If you watched either my streams on this game or maybe seen some viral clips online, you can probably already tell this is a cheap as hell cash grab, basically a glorified asset flip of Halo Infinite in Unreal Engine 5 no less, so you know this thing runs like absolute crap. This is just Halo 1 if it was made by India, which is why it's so hilarious that this is not the first, but no, the second remake of Halo 1. The first one was also made by 343, though I guess they call themselves Halo Studios these days. If I have to pretend that this isn't a blatant cash grab to justify the studio's existence, you could say maybe they thought they could outdo themselves this time, because people had a lot of legitimate complaints with the original Halo anniversary release, namely the drastic change in aesthetic. But man, there's so many things wrong with this, I don't even know where to begin. Whether it's the Bollywood-style cutscenes that look like they're straight out of Looney Tunes, Cortana looking like fucking Germa 985, they just can't help themselves, gotta give every female character a troon face. Oh, and of course, the biblically accurate black women that were totally on the Pillar of Autumn the whole time, chuddies. Oh, and this version is just so unpolished and buggy in all sorts of ways. Like the clearly unfinished hijacking animation, explosions having almost no concussive force, the AI pathfinding breaking at several different instances, especially the flood pure forms are just straight up unfinished, dude. They should not have been released in this state. I could go on, but just know that the game feels cheap. Cheaper than a game from 2001. Oh, and I can't forget the addition of sprint and being able to zoom with all weapons now. Yet another way that 343 is erasing Halo's identity. Awesome. Oh, and the sound design, dude, it was absolutely obliterated. Not only are all the guns too quiet, the music is strangely too quiet as well. You can barely even notice it. There's some new tracks that just sound like ambient background noise you would hear in a Ubisoft game. Oh, and of course, we have to address the elephant in the room. No multiplayer. Now, it was one thing to cut the multiplayer from Assassin's Creed 4 because that was a game mode that probably only a quarter of the players who bought the game at most played. But Halo without multiplayer? Are you out of your fucking mind? What a scam, dude. Oh, and what do we get to replace it? Well, there's some new skulls to find in campaign. There's a remix mode that turns on random skulls. Wowie zowie. Oh, and we can't forget the new bonus campaign of 3 missions that take place before even Halo Reach, which is some of the worst like millennial Reddit writing I have seen in a long time. Not only did they add in a random girl boss ODST who hates Master Chief, and that's never addressed by the way, it just is there for some reason, but also there's a new prophet, the Prophet of Harmony, who is the new villain, and dude, this shit is so cringe. And the fact that we're only given 3 missions makes the story feel incredibly rushed. There's so many things I could go over in the intro here. Bad voice acting is another one. The new Sergeant Johnson voice is terrible, and he looks smug in every single scene. I don't know why this is another thing we see in so many games. The weapon balance is questionable. It's ironically more balanced than the original Halo game, but because of that is less fun. Yes, the Magnum got nerfed, as you could probably guess. But before this turns into a rambling mess, let's just get into the review. Now, unlike my last video, I don't really see the point in breaking this down to the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there really isn't much good. It's pretty much all bad and ugly. I guess you could view it as a positive that there's more guns to play around with in the Sandbox now in the main campaign. The SMG sort of replaces the combat role the assault rifle did, and now the assault rifle feels a lot more like Halo Reach's. In fact, in general, the weapon sandbox is very reminiscent of Halo Reach, including the very controversial mechanic Bloom, where you hold down the fire button and the gun becomes less accurate, so you need to pace out your shots, right? I far prefer standard recoil, and most guns in this game have minimal recoil, other than, actually, ironically, the Needler rifle has a lot, but is amazing in every other way that I'll get into in a second. I don't want to spend this entire video talking about the shooting, so I'll try and keep this brief. I played through this campaign with my buddy Dead Internet Despot, and we played the game on Heroic. So obviously on Legendary, some of the guns are going to be less viable since enemies have more health and deal more damage. But I can say with confidence that the shotgun is probably the best standard weapon in the campaign still. It is equally as powerful as it was in the original Halo 1, so I guess fans can be happy about that. But unfortunately, the most iconic weapon from the game, the Magnum, has been nerfed. And it's kind of a weird nerf too, because it actually does more damage per shot, but because the Magnum was full auto in the original game, and this is not even truly semi-auto, it has about half the fire rate of the original Magnum, so it ends up feeling weaker. Not to mention the addition of Bloom means it's significantly less accurate. You do have to pace your shots. And probably the biggest nerf, it can't one-hit kill hunters anymore. In fact, it's weaker than using melee attacks. Huge nerf on that end. Of course, the classic combo of a fully charged plasma shot plus headshot with the Magnum still works, so it's still a fairly strong gun overall, but it just feels less satisfying to use, and I think part of that is because of the shittier sound design in this game. On top of the sound mixing just being terrible, with you barely able to hear your own guns over the music and the chaos of the battlefield, some of the sound effects just sound worse, less iconic, more generic. I won't give extended thoughts on every weapon, but I will say assault rifle, plasma pistol, all these feel fine. In some ways, the plasma pistol could be arguably better than the original game because they have the EMP mechanic from later games. If you wanted like a brief rundown of how this game feels, it basically just feels like, what if Halo 1 played like Halo Reach with a bit of Halo Infinite thrown in there? It has all of the later game mechanics like hijacking vehicles, placing a grenade on a Wraith to blow it up, plasma pistol EMP, as I just mentioned. Speaking of which, the enemies, when they use a fully charged plasma shot, kills you in one hit on Heroic. I feel like this is a bug. I couldn't believe it when it happened to my co-op buddy the first time. I thought he was just making shit up, and then it finally happened to me like a few levels later, and I was mind blown. I have to imagine on Legendary, this is going to be the new version of Jackal snipers in Halo 2, where you just get one hit killed out of nowhere. And speaking of which, yes, the beam rifle is now available in the main campaign. Both the beam rifle and sniper are underwhelming. On Heroic, they couldn't one-hit headshot in Elite, which severely limits their usefulness for obvious reasons. I don't know how the hell this slipped through in development, because the third level in the game, the whole point of it is to be a pseudo stealth mission. Just headshot the elites with the sniper rifle, and you're purposely given a bunch more ammo to do so. Yet now, that doesn't work anymore. You shoot them, they immediately start firing back. How did they fuck this up? Genuinely, that is a massive fuck up, and there is no excuse. Heroic is basically the standard difficulty for experienced players. It's what a shit ton of the people who are going to play this game for the first time are going to choose. So why the hell would you have, again, the Halo Sniper, infamously powerful weapon, take 2 headshots to kill an elite when you have to, take out dozens over the course of the level? Another addition to the Sandbox is the Energy Sword, which functions pretty similar to the other games in the series, except minus the sword lunge, and you can probably guess why. Because of the sprint. Now that you can sprint, you can just run up to any enemy and spam the sword swipe, so you don't really need the lunge anymore. As I already said in the intro, sprint does not belong in Halo. While PC gamers blame Halo for the modernization of FPS games, at the very least, Halo took a stance against sprint and ADS for the most part. Obviously, Reach had sprint as an armor ability, but I'm not a fan, to say the least. And all adding sprint and the zoom function to every gun does is remove the last bit of unique identity that this 25-year-old game had. And it's obvious that Halo Studios didn't give a single fuck to try and balance sprint for that matter. It's not even slightly balanced in co-op. Because as soon as your buddy dies, all you have to do is turn around and run away, and he respawns back pretty much instantly. This has got to be the most generous co-op respawn in the entire series. There are enemies still firing at me, and sometimes my partner just respawned almost instantly, which really takes away from the difficulty of the game for obvious reasons. And that's on top of the fact that you can also play this in 4-player co-op. Now, I didn't test this, but I can't imagine Halo 1's tight corridor-based level design really fits 4-player. I mean, even in 2-player sometimes, it's easy to just shoot your partner in the back of the head, though friendly fire was off by default and we kept it off, even if it would have been funnier to turn it on, honestly. The bonus campaign actually kind of rectifies this, as the level design is much more open and similar to Halo 2 or 3's than 1's. But in any case, I don't think sprint or zoom on every weapon belongs in Halo. I didn't actually use the zoom all that often. It didn't seem overpowered, but it also didn't add anything to the experience, so it probably shouldn't have been there. And I think one of the biggest things you'll immediately notice is that there's no more health packs. Yup, they went full health regen, once again removing one of the most unique aspects of the first game. Instead, your health is a separate bar below your shield that regenerates just a tiny bit more slowly, which I don't even know why they bothered at that point, and I think it's obvious that they made this change to not just remove more of the core identity of Halo 1, but also to make the game more casual so that you can't mess up, waste all the nearby health packs, and possibly get soft locked. Another weapon added from later games is the Sentinel Beam, and this thing is actually pretty solid. If I have to give this remake some credit, I will say I had fun with this gun. It feels pretty similar to how it does in Halo 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually more powerful in this game than it is in any of the other ones, with the only downside being that it has a limited ammo capacity. The only real downside to it is whenever you kill someone, it has this weird like magma texture effect on them. I'm assuming this is like a default effect from Unreal Engine 5, but it looks extremely cheap. That's it. I always thought it was weird that Sentinels didn't drop anything in the original game, so adding in the beam seems like a no-brainer. And the third weapon in the trio of guns that you couldn't pick up in the first game is, of course, the fuel rod gun. They function pretty much exactly the same as Halo 2 and 3, not much to talk about. It's just a weaker rocket launcher with less ammo and rapid fire capabilities. Honestly, I like it better than the rocket launcher. I wish I could use it more. Speaking of the rocket launcher, it has lock-on capabilities like the later games, which definitely makes dealing with vehicles a lot easier. Though Banshees also now have the ability to dodge them, which is cool. There's no flamethrower, strangely enough, which I think was a missed opportunity because they added flood pure forms to the game. Now, I don't really care if this breaks the lore to have those enemies show up. My issue is that their AI is fucking broken, dude. They got clipped into walls like 3 times and their pathfinding was just broken. They basically just function as the Flood's version of hunters. They can kill you in one hit with a melee attack, and they don't really have a weak spot as far as I could tell, but they have a shit ton of health. They would be a fine addition to the game if they didn't have buggy AI. And I could also talk about the Needler rifle, but I'm going to save my thoughts on it for the bonus campaign section, because as far as I saw, the Needler rifle was just randomly in one of the levels in the base campaign, and I barely had any ammo for it, so it didn't really seem unbalanced in that context. As for other thoughts, I will say the enemy AI in this game seems noticeably dumber or just buggier than the original Halo. Some people have speculated that they essentially reused the AI from Reach, or maybe Infinite, basically AI that is designed around big open sandbox-like encounters, whereas Halo 1 features many corridors, which obviously doesn't really mesh well with elites who like dodge rolling every 2 seconds, or enemies that like to spread out obviously aren't going to know what to do. As I said, enemies will just randomly stop pathfinding properly. You'll notice this with the Flood, especially because so many of them are combat melee forms, right? So one especially weird moment, I was in a shade turret, and one of the melee forms just jumped on top of me and just stood there and couldn't hit me and did nothing. Just yet another glitchy, low effort piece of shit part that could have easily been caught during testing. I mean, this is like one of the most linear segments of the game. Surely one of the devs tried doing this at some point and just did not give a fuck. There were also some instances where the AI would just flat out break and not fire anymore. One time we noticed this while playing was right after hijacking a Banshee. Not only does the body just drop out of the back, which looks like complete shit, but the elite just stood there and stopped firing. And the exploding Flood enemies barely feel like a threat now. They take longer to blow up. There's no concussive force, like I said. They explode like a wet fart. I'll try and get them to... Yeah, dude, that's pathetic. Oh my god. I have been negative toward most of the changes they made to the weapon sandbox, but I am glad that the shotgun is still the best gun in the game, basically. Obviously, it is not that useful at long range, but this is also the Halo game with the most corridors. And this thing just shreds at close range. Probably the only cool effect they added to this game, the only benefit of the modern graphics and aesthetic, is that if you shoot a Flood form at point blank range, it just explodes the thing, and that is actually pretty satisfying. Speaking of which, the Flood elites now have shields, which I actually think is a good change, because the human weapons used to be overwhelmingly better at killing Flood in the OG game, and now you have a reason to use a plasma pistol or rifle to get the shield down first, and then shotgun blast. But yeah, the shotgun, again, it just shreds everything, whether it's sentinels, elites, Flood forms. Anything that needs to die, the shotgun can kill it, and that is still fun. That's, I guess, the silver lining of this remake. They didn't fuck that up. So my ultimate takeaway from playing this campaign with all the new weapons and mechanics is just the question of, if they were willing to throw away the original balance of Halo 1, not giving a single fuck of preserving that experience for a new generation, why not just shove in a bunch more weapons and mechanics as well? Because they already have the battle rifle, the brute plasma rifle, the spiker. Those are all in the bonus campaign. Might as well just shove them into Halo 1 as well. Who cares if it makes sense? Honestly, I think they should go even further. They should have armor abilities. They should have the grapple from Halo Infinite. Who gives a fuck at this point? Sure, it wouldn't even be remotely balanced, but it would be fun. As it stands right now, this gameplay experience is just bleh. Like, it doesn't have any strong, memorable feeling to it. You kind of just pick up any gun and it's usable. I think the power weapons are actually way too balanced in this game. If there was ever a remake that deserved a Cat style comparison, this is definitely one of the top ones. Like, holy shit, there's so many little things that your brain knows if you played the original game that they messed up in this remake. A lot of subtle stuff. Either way, I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have fun. It still does play like a Halo game, not Halo 1. It plays like something in between Halo Reach and Halo Infinite. But it is absolutely the sloppiest sandbox I think Halo has ever had, where it's ironically simultaneously too balanced and not balanced enough, in the sense that there's too many weapons to choose from, and only a couple of them really stand out, namely the shotgun, which is still the best gun in the game, definitely. Now moving on to level design, although almost every level is exactly the same as the original game in terms of its layout, Halo Studios decided to redesign the library to make it a less shitty level, and I will say they succeeded, but only just barely. It is probably equally as long as the original library. The main difference is it's less open, copy-pasted corridors. They're a little bit different now, but it still feels very samey given how long the level is. Like I said, less rocket floods, so the flood in general are much easier to deal with until the last 2 missions of the game. Me and Carl probably died well over 20 times to the Covenant, but in the first few levels the flood were featured, we died maybe once or twice, but then once you get to Keys, then it has a huge difficulty spike because there's so many of them in close proximity. Very weird difficulty balance. I'm sure it's a little more consistent on Legendary, but Heroic, the difficulty curve is messed up completely. And the other section that was redesigned was the final Warthog run in the last level, and I'm actually kind of baffled by this. I don't think anyone ever complained about the layout of the drive here. It was a pretty epic over-the-top moment. Now, of course, as you'd expect, they added more enemies, more explosions, tried to make it more cinematic, which just made it run like complete shit. And the actual driving controls feel wrong too. Like I was spinning out on random debris objects that were scattered across the floor. It was starting to get really annoying. And they fucking muted the music too, which really takes away from like that climactic experience of escaping an exploding ship. And of course, you know, I've been avoiding another elephant in the room that I mentioned briefly in the beginning. This game ran like complete shit for me. Now I think part of this is because my graphics card is kind of dying on me. It's been through a lot of punishment, especially because of Starfield specifically having like a VRAM leakage issue that I think damaged it years ago. But there is no question that because this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, it just is horribly unoptimized. It has huge system requirements for basically looking on par with Halo Infinite. This is what happens when they go from their proprietary engine to a bunch of Indians working on the most unoptimized engine in modern times, Unreal Engine 5. It has truly been a plague on this industry. I don't think any game runs well on Unreal Engine 5. Truly, it's crazy. And so I had to lower it to medium-low settings at 1080p to get a semi-stable frame rate. This is probably the worst a modern game has run on my computer yet, which is truly saying something. Now let's get on to the story and characters. The story is obviously untouched. However, there's quite a few notable things to talk about. First of all, in the first 5 minutes of the game, they inserted a black woman into like the helm of the Pillar of Autumn. Yeah, this used to be a white guy, and it's now just the most phenotypically African woman you've ever seen. Holy fuck did that shit stand out. Most obvious DEI inserting I've seen in a while. Faux Hammer was also blackwashed. I had to fact check this, but yes, she used to be a white woman and is now black. And as I'm sure you've seen online, the new directing for these cutscenes is unbelievably bad. There's a reason I called it a Bollywood production. Some of the decisions here, I'm sure, are an attempt to make it seem more epic, over the top, but in reality, it just makes everything look cheap or stupid. A good example is the outro cutscene to the first level. For some absolutely idiotic reason, I guess the Indians who animated this cutscene thought it'd be really cool if the escape pod flies right next to the fucking engine exhaust of the Pillar of Autumn. Everyone would have been fucking fried. And there's a bunch of other cutscenes like this. I want to show you just examples with no commentary of the over-the-top new cutscene animation, because it just looks ridiculous. I don't need to describe why.
You can't stop them! Stay cool, Mendoza. What do you expect, rifleman? You think this little pleasure cruise is gonna last forever? Man, keep your eyes downrange, fingers on the triggers, and we'll all go home in one piece.
He says as there's gunfire next to his ear. Chief needs to like do a Shoryuken, just like uppercut one of these hunters. Why not? Okay, that looks fucking terrible. What the hell? Okay.
Oh my heckin' marvel!
No, that'll take too long.
You have a better idea?
There's a teleportation grid that runs throughout Halo. That's how the monitor moves about so quickly. I learned how to tap into the grid when I was in the control center. Fortunately, each jump requires a rather consequential expenditure of energy.
Something
I
tells
like
me
how
I'm
every
not gonna
bullet
like
goes
this.
through the shield, like
Sure,
one
I
bullet,
can
and it's
flip on your
just
shield
chilled down.
without permanently damaging
Master
your
Chief's
shield.
just that good.
Needless to
It's
say,
us in the
I think
gameplay
you
who
should really try
sucks.
this one.
Are we serious?
Thank you for
You
ruining
gotta
my
be
hero.
fucking kidding me.
Oh, I see. The coordinate data needs to be... Right. Sorry.
Oh my, dude, I hate that like Iron Man shit where it's like, let me swipe on the air and pretend I'm controlling a computer. Shit looks autistic. Oh my god, this is so much more epic. Oh, he dropped his gun. Oh, it's, yeah, punch it, Chief. Throw a Kamehameha in his mouth. That'll add so much to this, I think. With the Gucci Magnum from the beginning. See, it's a callback, Carl. Oh, and of course, Cortana was given a bunch of new lines and over-the-top animation to make her more of a spunky girl boss. Really annoying. And of course, like I said, she fucking looks like Germa. I can't unsee it. That is a man, dude. These people just have to ruin everything. This is a beloved 25-year-old game that started a franchise that has made billions of dollars. And of course, new people who have nothing to do with the original thing have to just in-shitify it. Of course they do. They love ruining things. They, whoever they are, I don't know. But yeah, they ruin everything we enjoy. And you wonder why I'm so negative in my videos. You can't really be a fan of any big franchise anymore. There's basically nothing left. I don't know, man. I could go into this in detail, but there's just an inherent cheapness that I feel like doesn't even need to be described with words. You could basically just look at this B-roll on the screen, and it's so obvious how uncanny the mouth movements are and the goofy over-the-top animation. It just looks terrible. And Sergeant Johnson's new voice is obviously not as good, and he looks smug as fuck. Like I said, he's a cartoon character, and it's even worse in the bonus campaign, which we'll get to in a second. This is a remake for no one, truly. I don't think there's a single person who enjoyed Halo 1 back in the day that is going to play this and be like, yeah, that was definitely better than the original. Totally worth wasting $50 to $70 playing this garbage. You know, speaking of which, I paid $70 to play this in 5 days early access, which I'm glad most people were not dumb enough to pay for that, judging by the achievement stats. Now, believe it or not, the part of this game I wanted to talk about more was the bonus campaign. Despite only being 90 minutes long, this is arguably the big selling point of Campaign Evolved. Like, this might actually be the reason someone would consider buying this, is 3 new missions with a completely original story taking place before the events of Halo Reach, as Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson go investigate some Covenant ship or something. Dude, the story is fucking trash. Like, unbelievably bad. The short version is there's a new prophet, the Prophet of Harmony, who's experimenting with some mind control technology. Basically just this glowy little device he puts on brutes' chests. And you can shoot the thing, and in one bullet, it has a similar effect to breaking their armor in Halo 3, which makes them drop their gun in rage. But that's pretty much it. The mind control plot doesn't go anywhere, is never brought up again, and holy fuck, the cutscene where he introduces it is the most Reddit writing ever of all time. Listen to this.
Hold your fire, my children. Have you enjoyed your stay so far, Demon? Had you and your companion given word of your arrival, I would have arranged a tour.
I think we've seen enough already.
Are you not impressed with our work?
Just shoot him in the head. Why would you listen to him talk?
All creatures would appreciate such steadfast dedication to improvement.
Is that what you call it?
What?
I call it many things, Demon. Here you can observe the true beauty of the Covenant. Our collective strength, a reflection of each member's devotion. The tenacity of the Ungoi. the cleverness of the Kigya.
Oh my god, this is so Reddit. Holy fuck.
Long our partner since the writ of union, the burning edge
My
of the covenant's
my
blade.
minions.
And Steve from accounting. The greatest of us all.
Yeah, right.
Of course, on the nearby planet, there's a squad of ODSTs where a girl boss whose name I don't care to remember and I'm not going to look it up, hates Master Chief because I guess lore reasons. The ODSTs don't like the Spartans. Who gives a fuck, man? You know what this comes across in the modern day. Don't even pretend they did this for lore reasons. They wanted to have a strong girl boss talk shit to Master fucking Chief. This is the same shit I brought up with the pilot who soy rages against him in Halo Infinite. This is fucking pathetic. This is the millennial writers, again, shitting on our hero, our self-insert, who they already ruined in this campaign by giving him a million lines of dialogue. Why the fuck is Master Chief talking about a hydroponics facility? Oh, not to mention 3 out of 5 of the surviving ODSTs are women, by the way, which even the campaign designer for Halo 3 called this shit out on Twitter. That's how you know it's bad. But just in case you didn't think the writer's self-insert character was badass enough, they make sure you know in one of the cutscenes near the end.
Nice work.
Thanks. Spartans aren't the only badasses in the UNSC.
Seriously, this is embarrassingly bad. If this mini campaign was supposed to be a demonstration that Halo Studios can make an original Halo game and it be good, well, they failed miserably. The story ends with the girl boss making a heroic sacrifice like George from Reach, it's a callback, where she brings down the shields of the Covenant ship so that the UNSC backup can blow it up. And that's it, dude. That's all that happens. I'm not leaving out anything. There's basically no story here. It feels so pointless. The big purpose, the big conclusion is that humans find a location of high charity. Wowie fucking zowie. So getting into the gameplay, like I mentioned before, the battle rifle is here, and it's not as good as it is in Halo 2 or 3. It just takes too many bullets to bring down a shield on heroic, so you run out of ammo with it in literally the first 5 minutes. No, instead, the real star of the show is the Needler rifle. I was actually shocked how powerful this thing was. Not only does it only take 3 shots to cause a combine explosion, which takes down a shield, but it one-taps jackals, grunts. It takes another 3 shots to take out an elite or a brute, which is not great, but the brutes are extreme bullet sponges in this mode. Like, they can absorb so much punishment, it's ridiculous. It's honestly not fun to fight them at all. So it's worth it to use the Needler rifle for that alone. The brute plasma rifle is pretty much the same gun, so I don't have much to say, and like I mentioned, there's also the Spiker, which is probably the worst gun in the game. It seemed completely fucking useless. One of the least satisfying aspects of this DLC is that Sergeant Johnson is given this special railgun looking thing that he supports you with in several instances, and you never get to use it yourself. Even if you manage to kill the AI, which they just respawn instantly, by the way, you can't pick up the gun. Why the hell would they do this? They know this is going to upset any player. Part of the fun of the Halo Sandbox is seeing an enemy use a gun and then you can use it yourself. I'm telling you, there were so many baffling decisions done with this game that are infuriating, truly. So yeah, Weapon Sandbox is really not much different than the main campaign, which makes me wonder why these guns aren't also in the main campaign, because I think a lot of people would have enjoyed at least using the battle rifle. My only question is basically the same as the main campaign. If you're going to add all these other guns, why not go all the way? Have the Spartan laser, maybe the grenade launcher from Reach, armor abilities, grapple, etc., etc. There's no reason to just do this because it's already not balanced or interesting. Might as well just throw everything in. So it's not really worth talking about that in detail. Instead, I'll talk about the enemy encounters and the level design. The levels here are so much worse than Halo 1's, it's unbelievable. Honestly, if I was to take away my personal bias against the terrible story and character writing, the real reason you can't trust 343 is they still don't know how the fuck to design a Halo level after all these years. It's basically just a series of big combat arenas with obvious cover, you know, big empty spaces, easily identifiable weapon racks, including the Covenant just have a bunch of human weapons stored for no reason. It looks comically stupid. It's never explained, not even through like a text log or something. In any case, every single combat encounter feels the same since there's really no variation in the enemy placement. Like Jackal snipers are high up in at least a handful of different encounters. The brutes, you basically fight the same way every time. You either shoot the rage button or you just fill them with lead until they die. Honestly, they're really boring to fight. There's not even very many vehicles either. I think you only fight a Wraith once, and there's a couple ghosts, and that's it. No Warthog segment, not really any big set pieces either. And the inside of like the Covenant facility on the planet looks like the Leviathan raid from Destiny 2 with all this white and gold everywhere. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Really doesn't fit the Covenant. And there's one really dog shit part where you ride this transport that's really fucking slow as enemies shoot you from the sides, and it lasts like 10 minutes. Oh, and the big climax after you fight your way through the ship and the ODSTs sacrifice themselves is a fucking ship flying segment, you know, like the one in Reach. Yeah, they did that, but way worse. You're in this tiny little Covenant ship that looks like an OC Donut Steel DeviantArt design, and you just spam homing plasma shots over and over and over again for, again, over 10 minutes. There is no challenge here. You just shoot a wave of 3 ships, wait for the next wave, talking. Speaking of which, yeah, they turned part of this into a fucking movie game. There's several instances where you have to wait for Sergeant Johnson to hack a panel to be able to move on in a Halo game. Yes, they turned this into a Sony movie game. I'm serious when I say that the bonus campaign is bafflingly dog shit. Between the Girlboss, the basically non-existent plot, the terrible level design, the questionable sandbox balance, the bullet sponge brutes, I could go on. Despite it only being 90 minutes, it is by far the part of the game that stuck out the most to me because of how terrible it was. So in conclusion, should you buy Halo Campaign DEvolved? Fuck no, dude. This is genuinely one of the worst remakes to come out in the past 5 years. I am honestly baffled how 343 has essentially failed at making Halo games for 15 years, and yet they keep getting more chances. They must have some crazy blackmail against Microsoft executives that they haven't been shut down by now. There aren't even any real Halo fans left because of the damage they've done to the franchise. There's only shills and mindless consumers, and I'm sure those people will buy this game, but the Halo fan base is basically done with this franchise, and I can't blame them. It's been shit longer than it's been good. So yeah, if you actually care about the integrity of the gameplay experience of Halo 1, stay far away from this. Again, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't have fun, because it still does play like a Halo game, but a bit modernized. So the shooting is competent, but it is not memorable at all. They shaved off all the edges, all the interesting balance decisions, except the shotgun, again, weirdly, is still really powerful, but nerfing the Magnum is unforgivable. And the bonus campaign is just a fucking embarrassment. Can these people just stop shoving girl bosses and shitting on our heroes in video games? This is just infuriating on every level. Every great hero from gaming history has to be punched down a peg by women, minorities, LGBT people, whatever. Any oppressed group has to shit on, well, let's be honest, white males is typically what they are. But even Samus couldn't escape that fate. Again, it should be obvious to any noticers that they, whoever they are with 3 parentheses, want to destroy everything that we love. They don't even care if they lose millions of dollars. They print money. So I'm not saying this to demoralize you. I still think everyone should boycott this game. But at this point, the only solution to the game industry is we have to create our own art. Period. And it has to be good. We can't just shill crap because it's based. So obviously stay far away from this game. Hopefully Halo Studios gets shut down, but I'm not getting my hopes up. See you next time, guys.
Chief, using the increased computing power, I've determined you have terminal autism. That can't be true, Cortana. Come on. I'm not autistic.